Nation, it's your Rebel, and I'm a Raider. Back with another live stream. Man, we are coming off another devastating loss. But there is hope in the Raider Nation. I'm going to explain to you why this loss was exactly what the doctor ordered for the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Pete Carroll and what he's done for the Raiders since he's been here, since this has been a negative channel for mostly the whole entire season. We're going to try to find some positives in Pete Carroll's coaching this season, if there are any. Shout out to everybody. Welcome, man. In a game where the Las Vegas Raiders had three total first downs, 75 yards total in a football game, an NFL football game. Yes, we're playing the defending Super Bowl champions, but does any of that really matter? I mean, we played the Kansas City Chiefs, another team that was in the Super Bowl, with the same score, the same record, the same outcome. No yards, no rushing yards, no matter what quarterback is in there, no matter what offensive line is in there. We got dominated by two teams that were in the Super Bowl. This is a wake up call for Raider Nation. This is a wake up call for Mark Davis. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. This is exactly what the Raiders needed. The Raiders continuously, year in, year out, rebuild halfway, halfway rebuild. They keep the same coaches in the building. They keep the same damn players in the building. They extend players over and over and over again. And it amounts to the same old thing. We hear Pete Carroll's press conference every single week. The man says the same thing. Are these players in the locker room having to deal with what we have to deal with in the press conference? Is he in there saying the same thing over and over and over again? It's going to come around. It's going to get better. I believe in Geno Smith. I mean, it's the same thing every single week. But there are some positives. There are some things that Pete Carroll has done to help this team. There are some things that he's done to wake up the team, right? John Spytek, Mark Mark Davis, Tom Brady, they all got a wake up call Sunday when they spent millions of dollars, millions probably, to fly to Philadelphia to check out the snow because it doesn't snow in Vegas. Why did we show up to Philadelphia? The team did not show up. Our coach seems to think that they played their asses off, right? Everybody played, as hard as they could, and that was the outcome. If that's what you're telling Raider Nation, that's the outcome of this team playing as hard as they can to get blown out 31 to nothing, what are you doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing as an organization, as a franchise, or as a football team? If that's our best output, that's what we got. That's what we got. That's our compete. 0 points, 75 yards, 3 first downs. Man, shout out to everybody in the building. Welcome. I don't think I have my glasses, so I can't read shit. I guess I can't see without some damn eyeballs. Man, what's good, everybody? What y'all got to say? Shout out Raider News Central in the building. First one, appreciate you. Good morning. Sham Romer, what's good? What's good? Candy Angel in the building. Geo Mex, what it do? That was a positive note. Pete Carroll has perfect attendance this year. On what? Perfect attendance on what? For the other team? Come on, man. There ain't no perfect attendance going on anywhere in any building. Shit. It was so bad that Philadelphia fans didn't even show up. They're playing the Raiders. We already know what's going to happen, right? The Broncos game. The only people in the stands at home at Allegiant Stadium were orange. All I seen was orange throughout the whole stadium and a bunch of empty seats. Nobody is buying into Pete Carroll's system. Nobody is buying into what Pete Carroll, nobody's picking up what he's trying to put down. And like I said, if the locker room has to sit through the same things over and over again through an entire season, there's no way you can't tell me this man has not lost the locker room already. I mean, he's lost all of us, right? There used to be 2,000-3,000 fans in there, waiting for the press conference for the first 2 or 3 weeks. Now, there ain't even about 100 people in there, maybe 200 people in there. just to see what he has to say so they can make fun of the old man, which is absolutely horrible, horrible look for us. Um, what else? What else? What else? Rated Nation in the building. Um, what do we got? What do we got? Leaky. What's up, my guy? Appreciate you. So how y'all feeling, man? Drop your comments. Let me know what you feel. About Sunday's game. How did you feel? Did you feel like, woohoo, we're in chance for the first overall pick? Did you feel like you're tired of giving your money and spending and wasting your time to watch this high school product on the field? Did you feel like Pete Carroll did enough as a head coach to be like, let's give him one more year. Like let's give him one more year. Let's try it again, right? So let me know how you felt. Let me know how getting blown out 31-0 to the defending Super Bowl champs made you feel. Another positive note, no injuries as of late. Why risk injuries moving forward? And another positive, we're still destined for the #1 pick. There we go. See, let's keep the positivity rolling. Let's keep the positivity rolling. But I'm gonna have to put a check mark on the first one. Yes, there were no injuries. Pete Carroll came out and said in his press conference there was no injuries. That was the best part of the game going into Philly. Just digging into Mark Davis's pocketbook with the hotel, with the food, with the travel, with all the equipment, with everything you got to bring to put up 75 yards. Yes, there was a very positive outcome. There was no injuries in the game. But we're there. What about this right here? What about my heart? It's injured every time they take the damn football field. What about the rest of the Raider Nation? You say nothing was injured? Our pride is injured. Our love for this team, our passion is injured every time they put that shitty ass product on the field. So there were some injuries. There were some injuries, just not on the field, not to the football team. But I know there was some injuries. The whole damn planet is hurting, or the whole Raider Nation is hurting every time they walk on the field, every time they go 3 and out, every time they give up a sack. Speaking of sacks, the Raiders are the only team in NFL history. Yes, a new record. That's what we do here. We just set record after record after record, but it's always on the bad side. The Raiders, 4 sacks in the last 4 games. Under 75 yards rushing. You know what that tells me? Your coach is washed up. Your coach doesn't have it anymore. The man doesn't know how to deal with the situation he's in. He's told Raider Nation, he's told Mark Davis, he's told Spytech, he's told Tom Brady, he's told the NFL, he's told the world, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never been in this situation before. I've never lost this many games. I've never, not been able to turn it around. I've never had a quarterback that I believed in that absolutely lets me down. I've never had 2 family members that I brought in to try to make them look good that are totally ruining my career, and I don't know what to do about it. Man. But back to the positive notes. Yes. We do possibly have the #1 pick. Don't ignore my messages. Man, I'm in the middle of a live. Good Lord. D Menace in the building. What's good, my guy? Good to see you, man. Good to see you're healthy and alive. How do you feel about the season, man? Where are you at? Let me know. Let me know in the building. How many people want Pete Carroll fired? And how many people want Pete Carroll to stay? Thumbs up if you want Pete Carroll fired. Thumbs down if you want Pete Carroll to stay. And then, if you're on the Pete Carroll stay, give me a reason. You don't have to give me a reason why you don't want him here. It's obvious. It's obvious. But if you think Pete Carroll deserves another year with or without Geno Smith, with a new staff, because, he brought in this staff and it wasn't good enough. He fired him in the first couple weeks. But if you think Pete Carroll should stay around, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. I really thought that Kenny Pickett was going to make a slight difference, but another disappointment, just like the rest of the season. With everybody on the roster, the Raiders are fucking horrible. I'm glad you brought that up. Because let me ask you this, right? And I said it on my live, during the game. But let me ask you this. Did you see Cedric Jackson out there? Hold on. Matter of fact, I got stats right here. Because it's what, Tuesday? Damn, it's Tuesday. I haven't even reviewed any film. Usually I've watched the game 80 times by now. And I really just don't even care to see what happened. Um, can I still watch even though I'm not a NFL fan? You could watch. You could stay in here all you want to. We don't discriminate here. Um, let me see these stats. Let me see these stats. Sorry for the silence. Why are we on Texas stats already? Come on, man. Killing me here, Tim. I don't want Texas game review. All right, well, I'm gonna have to look that up while I'm talking. Um, almost broke your damn leg this morning. You need to be more careful, bro. You are clumsy. You clumsy like the damn Raiders offensive line. Um, I swear, people are ridiculous, bro. No class. No class. Um, the game was a complete embarrassment. Couldn't get a field goal. I mean, shit, we didn't even cross the 50-yard line, did we? I think one time we were across the 50-yard line and we went for it on 4th and 6. um, yeah, man. God, I don't even know what to say. This team is bad. But back to the positivities, man, and we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'm gonna tell you exactly why we should be thanking Pete Carroll. It's not a lot. It's not a lot, but we really should. We really should thank Pete Carroll. Um, YL drafting or trading for the next season. Who? Um, Postseason. I don't, man. I don't know. The Raider Nation wants a quarterback. Everybody feels like a quarterback is going to come in and turn this offensive line around. It's going to make our defense get pressure. It's going to allow our corners to cover. It's going to allow our run game to take off. It's going to allow our offensive linemen to learn how to block. It's going to teach our coaches how to actually run a damn offensive line scheme instead of inside zone, inside zone, inside zone, inside zone. Every play is an inside zone scheme. You don't think the defense is going to key off on that? Kenny Pickett said there are some tells that we need to figure out. Kenny Pickett stood up as a real leader, as a quarterback in a locker room. That's a backup, which your other quarterback, that's the captain of the team should be doing. But Kenny Pickett stood up in his interview and said, there are tells, man. This team is teeing off on us. They're blasting the holes before we even get there. They know what we're running. This is not the only person that has said that in the building. Kenny Pickett has not even been out there long, right? He played a half a game and one full game, and he's got like 3 snaps other than that. In that little of time, Kenny Pickett is saying, this ain't right. This ain't right. Something is going on, right? We're running constantly out of the shotgun. These are things that Kenny Pickett talked about. This is why Kenny Pickett is not the starter. And this is why Kenny Pickett has not been interviewed a lot. Because there are veterans in this locker room, Adam Butler, that are willing to step up and say what the problem is in the building, right? There are guys, Eric Stokes, that have been brought in by Pete Carroll that are willing to admit what the problem is, right? They're not coming out and saying Pete Carroll is the damn problem, but they're any windows, right? The way they go about answering their questions tells you everything you need to know. About what this locker room feels and how they feel. So, who do we draft? It's the Raiders, man. It's the Raiders. We sit up here every year. We do mock drafts after mock draft. We sit up here and we go to a SPO track and you know we try to play couch GM and we try to sound what free agents we'll bring in and keep under the salary, right? Because you can do all that on the internet now. You can be a couch GM, right? And we try to do that every year. And every year, they pick the wrong players. Every year, they sign them to the wrong contracts. Every year, they're cheapest team in the NFL with the most money. What are we trying to do in Las Vegas? Are we really trying to win? Or are we just trying to make Mark Davis pocketbooks bigger? Are we trying to fatten his bank account? Or is there people in the building that have a different agenda that are just trying to run Mark Davis completely out of this organization by making us ass year in and year out? Because it's gonna happen. It happened to the Browns, right? They had to move in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night, just left their team, went to Baltimore, right? So it happens when teams are trash, right? Things happen behind the scenes. The NFL is not going to continue to let this team, this franchise, who was once historical, um, and used to have one of the best winning percentages in the NFL until the 70s. So for 9 years, we were one of the best records in the NFL. The Raiders have not had a winning record, not just a winning season record, an overall record above 500 since the 70s. The 70s. I was born in 75, bro. 75. That's pathetic. I thought we were doing positivity here. Positivity. We'll get to the positivity. So I don't know who we're drafting. I have no idea. Have no idea. Peace out, Raider Nation. Just wanted to chime in and say what's up. Appreciate you. Appreciate your comments. Always appreciate you being in the building. I don't know. The Titans probably got the number one pick. Maybe the Giants. I think the Giants are sitting at the number one pick right now, but the Las Vegas Raiders are sitting at number two, and all they have to do is continue to lose, and we'll be fine. The Titans, man, the Titans I thought would win another game this season. The Titans got a tough schedule, but they do face the New Orleans Saints, who seem to be picking it up with Tyler Shook, right? It's funny how when you find a quarterback and you just give them an opportunity with the defensive coach and a defensive offensive line, how things could turn around in the organization. Um, but yeah, the Giants and the Raiders play week 17, right? So it's going to come down to who's the shittier team. Is it the Raiders? Is it the Giants? No. The Giants have an offensive line. The Giants have an interim head coach because they were smart enough to fire their head coach, which really didn't deserve to be fired. But they were smart enough to fire this man because it hasn't been working out, right? It hasn't been working out. They don't have the wins that they expected. They've given him time. All he did was bring in a whole bunch of draft picks, first round draft picks to help that team, and he gets the boot. But the Giants more than likely will be second. I don't see a scenario where the Raiders could beat anybody. I'm really looking at this season. I'm surprised that they beat the Tennessee Titans. Everybody's in shock that they beat the New England Patriots, right? A team that seems like they can't be beat until last week. So, um, called 2, 3 times so he knows it's an emergency. You want me to answer in the middle of a live, bro? Damn, you have 911. You're hilarious. I'm on the fence. I'm tired of hiring and firing coaches every year. Shout out for the 199. It's crazy that my damn chat has to tell me to answer my phone, bro. You are so disrespectful. Crazy. I was helping Roller carry an account here, twisted my knee, but thanks for ignoring my message. Okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, bro? Um, what the fuck kind of comment is that, bro? Fucking ignorant people. I swear. Where's my mods at today? Um, Wrap it up. Go to the doctor. That's what they do. You go to the doctor, they check it, they say, damn, you tore our ACL. You didn't tear our ACL. You sprained it. You stretched some ligaments. I'm not going to know that over the phone or over a live stream. These are things that I cannot fix. Sorry to hear that, but man, you should probably go to a doctor, bro. Sorry for all your heartache that you've been putting up with being a Raider fan. That's another thing, man. That's another thing. I'm gonna stop right there. Let's talk about this. Like, There were people that I know that were at the game that said Philly fans, Philly, right? The most notorious rude fan base, so they say, in all of the NFL and all of sports, right? Philly fans felt bad, felt bad for the Las Vegas Raiders. They were actually, instead of fighting, yelling, talking shit, they were actually sympathetic to how shitty this franchise is. That's another sign right there, bro. That's another sign. Um, it looks like we fired Chip Kelly to keep his playbook. Um, let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about that. So Pete Carroll constantly says, right, for the people that want Pete Carroll, because I haven't got all the way down yet, but for the people that still want Pete Carroll in the building, Pete Carroll has said all season long, we need to run the football. Pete Carroll, right? With his boy Gino, we need to run the football. Who's in charge of running the football, Pete Carroll? Was it Chip Kelly? Was it Greg Olson? Was it possibly Brennan Carroll? Your offspring? Your son? Your blood that you brought in to help run this team? The major problem every single week, every week, 3 times a week, Pete Carroll gets on this right here, little phone, little camera in front of everybody and says, we need to run the football. We need to run the football. We just need to run the football. Damn it, Pete Carroll. Who is the run game coordinator? It is Brennan Carroll. Our passing game isn't working. The plays are too long. They're running 10-yard routes instead of running drag routes, instead of running underneath routes, instead of running comebacks, instead of running 3-yard outs, 5-yard outs, instead of getting the ball to your running back in the backfield. They're running 10 yards before they even turn around to look for the ball. Who is the passing game coordinator? Who is the passing game coordinator? Is it Patrick Graham? Is it Joe Philbin? Who is the passing game coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders? Does anybody know? It's another Carroll. It's Nathan Carroll. So the two biggest problems we have in our organization is we can't run the football and we have no offense. But the two main guys, Nathan and Pete, or Nate and Pete, but Nathan and Brendan Carroll, they're in charge of the passing game. Nate Carroll comes up with the passing game. Brendan Carroll comes up with the running game. They get together with the offensive coordinator and they figure out a game plan. But when you have two sons of a head coach, who do you think has the most say in that building, right? Who do you think is calling Nathan Carroll and saying, this is what I want the passing game to look like this week? Make sure that's what it looks like. Who is in charge of telling Brendan Carroll, we need to fix this run game. We need to fix this offensive line. We need to start running power zone. We need to start running outside zone. We need to start running something different, a split zone, something. We need to fix this. No, instead he gets up there every single week and says, this needs to get better. This needs to get better. But it is the two guys that you hired, right? You fire a guy that you kept in the building. Pete Carroll had every opportunity to say, no. I don't want Tom McMahon. I don't want Tom McMahon as my special teams guy because for the last 2 years, what has he done for the Las Vegas Raiders, right? Our special teams hasn't been great. We've had no kickoff returns for touchdowns. Hell, we barely even get over the 50-yard line on a punt return or a kickoff return. But Pete Carroll looked at this man and said, let's keep him. And then 4 weeks into the season, he said, let's fire him. Let's fire him. I'm going to bring in a guy that I brought in the building, and I'm going to make this man special teams. We still don't have a run over the 50-yard line, whether it's punts, whether it's kickoffs. We still miss 5 tackles per kickoff, it seems like, per punt return, over and over and over again. That's a guy that Pete brought in, right? That he moved around. Chip Kelly. We bring in Chip Kelly. A lot of talk in the building, right? Who was it? Who was it? Who wanted Chip Kelly? Was it Tom Brady? Was it John Spytek? Was it Mark Davis? Was it Pete Carroll? If I remember right, JT and the Brick and Vinny Bonsignor both reported Pete Carroll got on a plane, closed the doors, flew away, right? Flew to LA to talk to Chip Kelly personally, to bring Chip Kelly in. I didn't see Tom Brady or hear any reports of Tom Brady flying out to bring in Chip Kelly, right? It was Pete Carroll, the head coach, that went and talked to his offensive coordinator, brought him back, decided, yes, that's the way we're going to go, right? But then Chip Kelly, in a press conference, says the only reason he came was because of Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady pretty much talked him into coming here by paying him $6 million and making him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the history of the NFL. Not just this year, not just on offense, not on offense, defense, special teams. The highest paid offensive coordinator in the history of the NFL. To fire him in what, week 8? Week 9? You fire your special teams coordinator. It hasn't gotten any better. You fire the highest paid offensive coordinator in the history of the NFL. Pete Carroll supposedly is making not 15 but $16 million. $16 million. Basically, Mark Davis and whoever was in charge went and said, we need a coach because nobody else will take this job. Can you please come coach this organization and turn it around? We'll give you $16 million a year. You can have all the control, which, you know, there are people that say Pete Carroll doesn't have all the control. I don't see how's that possible, right? You fire 2 coaches. You say who comes and goes, right? You got rid of Jermaine Pratt, who's, you know, having a career year over there with the Colts. You got rid of Jacorian Bennett. Amari Gaynor still doesn't have a team. Our linebackers can't cover worth a shit. You got a fast linebacker that has proven that he could play Mike, he could play to Sam, he could play to Will. And he's, you know, week 14, Amari Gaynor still posting video after video every single day of him grinding, working out, trying to get back to the NFL. Why doesn't this man have a job? Why was he released from a team? Tommy Eichenberg gets a goal line stand, right? Stops them from scoring, stops the bleeding because it would have been 38 to nothing. But Tommy Eichenberg comes in, right, with a little bit of playtime, makes one of the biggest plays of the season, in my opinion, right? Because, I mean, damn, 38 to nothing looks way worse than 31 to nothing. I mean, either way, it looks bad. But the higher it gets, the worse it gets, right? So Tommy Eichenberg comes in and make plays, right? We have a Charles Grant sighting. Charles Grant. This man does not look like he should be on the bench. He came in, played in a jumbo set, did pretty well, right? Came in on another jumbo set and literally drove his man from one side of the field to the other. Dominant. That didn't happen overnight. The footwork for Charles Grant does not happen overnight. If you go back, if you have the All-22, go back, watch the preseason, go back and watch this game, the couple snaps he was in there. Why did he get taken out of the game? Why wasn't Stone Forsythe benched for Charles Grant after the first play when he just demolished his man, completely took him out of the field, like just out of the picture, right? But Pete Carroll decides, nah, bro, you're not good enough. Caleb Rogers, Caleb Rogers comes in, plays one game, and a lot of people say, "Oh, that's developmental. That's a product of developmental." Every offensive line player has gotten worse on this team under Brennan Carroll. We still can't run the football. We can't pass the football because they can't block. But you're still putting in guys like Alex Kappa. You got Jordan Meredith, who's returned, who's supposed to be healthy, practiced the last 2 weeks, not playing center when that was your guy that you wanted at center, and you had to move JPJ, who could be one of the best centers in the NFL one day. You had to move this guy to a different position. So Pete Carroll, bro, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for waking up the people in the building, the rest of the NFL, because now the only thing you hear about the Las Vegas Raiders is they need a rebuild. They need to start over. They need to tear it all down, light it all on fire, burn that shit to the ground, and start over. And this would have never happened if Pete Carroll was not head coach this year, right? If Pete Carroll, thank you for sticking with Geno Smith, because this is exactly what Raider Nation has been needing. A loyal coach that will stick with their guys and ride them to the death, right? This is exactly what we've been waiting for. Unfortunately, this loyal coach only has loyalty to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, right? Do I have to name them? Geno Smith, Stone Forsythe, Jamal Adams, Landon Roberts, Devin White. I guess there's 6. Kai Blue Kelly, but I didn't want to mention him because he's injured. These are the only guys that he has loyalty to. This is it. Here's a question. Kind of beauty doesn't ask the attention, but he holds the room. That's you, effortless, grounded, and rare. Appreciate you for that. Means the world, man. That's special. Damn. Thank you. Raiders are still 2-11. It's 2-12, aren't we? 2-12. I mean, you could take a loss away if you want, but what do I think for this next game? I mean, I think Mark Davis should just forfeit. I mean, just don't even show up, bro. Be like, look, we had plane problems. The weather's bad in Vegas. We can't get out. I don't know. I don't know. Broncos won their 11th game in a row, something the Raiders have never done. Man, have we really never won 11 games in a row? I can tell you what we have done. We lost 10 in a row last year, and we about to make it 11 this year. We're gonna up that ante. So we haven't won 11 games in a row, but we have lost 11 games in a row. Again, another thank you, Pete Carroll, right? Thank you, Pete Carroll, for making this the worst season possible in the NFL by sticking to your guns, by playing Alex Kappa, by keeping Jamal Adams at an outside linebacker position and then taking away his reps, by moving a guy that you paid $12 million to, and Malcolm Kuntz. Malcolm Kuntz, you know what Malcolm Kuntz is doing nowadays? He's playing special teams, bro. Special teams. Malcolm Kuntz is on our special teams unit. $12 million for 1 year. Devin White, 16 tackles a game, making $5 million. Also, 4 missed tackles a game. 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 blown coverages a game. Do you think we will get the number 1 pick, or do you think we will stay in second? Shout out for the $4.99 Unleashed Raider. I believe the number 1 pick is ours. If you want to know what I think we should do with it, ask me later. That's the toilet bowl, not the Super Bowl. Raiders need help. Go help them. Man, pull me in the building. I will work for free, bro. I will work for free. I got 1 million free agents we can sign with the $114 million they have. And don't worry, I'll play couch GM. I'll have, I'll have my drafts. I'll have the same thing I had last year. Matter of fact, tomorrow, just because you said that, tomorrow, man, pull up tomorrow. I think I'm gonna pull out the notes and I'm gonna break down who I wanted to draft last year, who I wanted in free agency. It's all in the notebook. It's sitting over there. I found it yesterday. So all my notes from this off season are all there. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll sit there and talk about what we could have had in Raider Nation if we would have just listened to some of the fans. Let's see if the fans have a better idea of how to run a team than dudes getting paid millions of dollars to play coach match. Where is the dude? What's his name? Who is the dude that we brought in this season? That finds the GM and the head coach and puts the super matches together, right? The super matchmaker that we paid like $20 million, 30 something $1,000,000. I don't even know what it was. Some ridiculous amount of money to bring a dude in, to find the guy to fit the culture of the Las Vegas Raiders and find the GM and put them together and make the perfect match in heaven. Well, he decided John Spytek and Pete Carroll was the perfect match made in heaven. 2-12. 2-12. This man still has a job. You know what would happen if I went to a construction site because I said tile and I bid a job for a bunch of marble, a complete bathroom turned around, right? $30,000. If it's marble, probably $40,000 bathroom renovation. And I said, this is what it costs. This is the product you're gonna get. And I came in there and put some VCT vinyl flooring on the floor and the walls and in a shower with no shower pan and said, here's your money for $40,000. They would sue the hell out of me. They would sue the hell out of me. I would never work in this town again. I'd be blasted all over the internet, right? The company would be shit. But you have dudes you pay $20 million to come in and match your to match your head coach with your GM, and you have one of the worst seasons of all time in the history of the Raiders. Make sure to put some ice on that knee. Yeah, you're gonna need. You probably should go to the doctor, bro. If you can't walk, you need to go to the doctor. Yeah, I have enough insurance, bro. That's just expensive. Man, it's a $45 visit. Do the Raiders fans expect Ashton Gency to finish the season with better games? I don't expect Ashton Gency to do anything but be a bust. I mean, and people are going to hate me for saying this, but if he doesn't work on this off season on a lot, right? The best thing that Ashton Genty has done this year has been pass block, pass pro. Everybody said the man couldn't block, right? He's 5'8", 220 pounds. There's no way he's going to hold up these linebackers and these defensive linemen. But the kid has done it. What he hasn't done is what he said he was going to do, like Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll said, we're going to come in, we're going to hit the ground running, we're going to win 10 games. I've done it every year, right? Ashton Genty came in and said 1,300 yards rushing, another 400 yards receiving. Now, I'm looking at 1,700, 1,800 yards. Bro, you ain't even at 8. You ain't even at 8. Is it the offensive line? I could look all around the NFL at teams that don't have offensive lines, that have running backs that were not drafted 6th. Okay, maybe in the 6th round, that have better numbers than Ashton Genty, that have better vision than Ashton Genty. So just another mistake that, strike 2, strike 3, like all of our drafts. And I'm not saying Ashton Genty is already a bust. I'm saying he has a lot of work to do to live up to a generational back like I believed he was, like a lot of people believed he was. He is not. He does not have the speed. He does not have the burst. And his vision has been like this. This is Ashton Genty's vision right here. This is what he sees. Everything is dark, it's cloudy. You don't know what color jerseys they are, because if I took 3 hours today and I put on film every Ashton Genty run this year, there would be riots in the streets. There would be riots in Vegas, rioting of how we drafted this kid at sixth overall when we had um, Marvin Membu sitting there, when we had God, a guy that I don't even want, but you know, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Nick Eamon, right? You can't draft a safety in the top 10. There's no way. But you could take a running back in the top 10. That safety that we couldn't draft in the top 10, Nick Eamon, is killing it for Seattle. It is why Seattle's defense is what they are, in my opinion. The dude controls the middle. Um, just another miss, bro. Another miss. But Ashton Genty, he's got work to do, man. He's got work to do. A lot of work to do. Um, I don't think he's tall enough to see over the line, even standing straight up, right, in his Michael Mayer stance. I don't think that's helping him. Um, when he needs to bounce it outside, he bends it inside. And I know you got to follow the script, right? If they're calling for you to hit the A gap, you got to hit the A gap. Um, you know, if it's a cutback and you're running right and you got to cut back to the B gap, I get it. But you got to have vision in the NFL. You got to have burst. You got to have footwork. His footwork is horrible. Dude, I don't know how many times I've seen Ashton Genty take one, two steps and then turn sideways like, please don't hit me, right? You're absorbing hits. That's not a running back, bro. That's somebody that doesn't want to be hit in the NFL and, wasn't prepared for what he was about to get into. Yes, you played at Boise State, but you didn't play with the big dogs in the big yard like you are in the NFL. So, Ashton Genty, you got a lot of work to do in this offseason, man. A lot. And for to sit up there and talk and be arrogant and say, I'm not as optimistic as Pete Carroll, as a rookie, you haven't done shit in the NFL to sit up there and talk shit about a head coach that has 40 years experience, whether we're losing, whether he's optimistic, whether he's delusional, or whether he needs to be, wrapped up. Ashton Genty hasn't done nothing, but he's had opportunities, not a lot, but there's a reason he's not touching the ball 20 times a game. Because on the 10 touches he gets, 7 of those have opportunities for big yardage. They turn in to a man running into his offensive line, cutting it back into piles, right? Over and over and over again. It's Raheem Mostert. When he gets the ball, it looks way better than Ashton Genty. There's a reason Raheem Mostert hasn't got the ball a bunch this year. They don't want to make the rookie look bad, bro. And I love Ashton Genty. I think the kid's gonna be special. But man, the arrogance of thinking you're gonna come in this league and run for 15, 1600 yards and catch for another, 3 or 4, and you're not even at 8, bro. You're not even at 8, and you give up constantly. There's big holes in open field when you catch the ball. You're making the wrong decisions. You got guys that are blocking on the inside. You go to the outside, bro. They have leverage. When a guy has a guy turned this way and you go to the side where he has him turned, so all he has to do is get off his block and tackle you, that's a vision problem. That's a coaching problem. And, maybe it's the coaches. Maybe it's, I don't know, Jeremiah Love over there at Notre Dame, right? Had a way better year this year than he did last year, in my opinion, with a different running back coach. So is it the running back coach? And speaking of running back coach, I know I'm just rambling on. And speaking of running back coach, the Las Vegas running back coach, his father played for Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll in his interview tried to act like he had no idea. He had no idea. He did not know that the dude with the same name was the son of a man that helped coach his team. He really expects us to believe this shit? Like, really, really, you expect us to believe this, man? So, just more and more just keeps coming out. Not only do you hire your 2 sons, but you hire the son from Notre Dame running back coach. That's a son of somebody that coached for you, that you have, that you've known for 20 years, and you had no idea. Pete Carroll says, oh, after somebody had mentioned it, I kind of seen the similarities, the actions, the movement, the look. Like he literally looked dumbfounded, like he didn't know that this man was the son of a man that he had already coached before. Man, this organization is is in trouble, bro. Do Raider fans accept? I got to that. I accept them. I accept, that we made a wrong pick. I accept Tyree Wilson, who's still on this team. That they drafted seventh overall. I don't believe he'll be on this team. After next year. Um, but yeah, I believe in these guys. Right? We drafted them, and if they're in the top 100 on anybody's board, there's a reason, right? There's a reason. There's something about the kid, or the young man, right, that they believe can make it in the NFL. But it's not all their responsibility. Sometimes it's the coach's responsibility to get the best out of a young man, right? To bring out his mean side, right? His tough side, his explosive side, right? To bring the best out of your players. And the Raiders have failed to do that, man. Josh Jacobs having a great year, better than he ever had with the Raiders. Not 1,600 yards type great, but that was just one of those years. Um, Amik Robinson, bro. Amik Robinson, play after play after play. The nation hated Amik Robinson. He's too small. He can't cover. He can't do this. He can't do that. Man, he goes to Detroit, and the kids, the man's guarding their number one receiver every single play. but he can't be a corner. Um, Development, man, development. This team, um, these guys, right? Charles Grant, wasted year. Brock Bowers, a completely wasted year. He was hurt. Fought his whole 4 or 5 weeks to get back on the field. To get the 3 targets, 4 targets, 4 targets. You have the best tight end in all of the NFL. You throw him the ball 4 times. You have some say one of the best running backs in the NFL. He touches the ball 10 times. But you're trying to win now. Nothing about this season, nothing about what Pete Carroll has said, what he has acclaimed, what he has done line up, right? And I don't think it's all Pete. I think there's people above him, right? Everybody has bosses. And I think it's a huge problem. Grim, what's good, man? How about them Seattle Seahawks? Killing it. Just admit the Raiders suck and the Broncos are better. Um, that's I commit that all day long, bro. The Broncos are a way better team. I think the Broncos' second string could probably beat the Raiders. Um, but I find it funny though that we can hold the Broncos to 10 points, right? 10-7 in the first meeting. Um, Let it get out of hand in the second one, and then just get absolutely ass clapped by the Eagles, a team that has struggled in their last 4 games to run the ball, to pass the ball, to hold on to the ball. You come to Las Vegas, or you play the Las Vegas Raiders, and your franchise turns around. It happened to the Dallas Cowboys, the Tennessee Titans. Hell, the Tennessee Titans came in, they lost to us, but they've been a way better team ever since they played the Raiders. They're competitive. They're scoring more points than us. They have more rushing yards than us. With 2 coaches that are interim. Interim. We have interim head coaches out coaching the great Pete Carroll. Well done, Pete. We thought it'd be an adult that we needed. This is ugly for real. Um, it is the adult in the room, right? That's another thing. We heard all this shit about we finally have adults in the building. No, we have a dude that's past his adult age and is starting to refer back to his young kid age, right? You know, when people get in their 70s, their mind starts going, they start acting like children again. Um, and Pete Carroll, man, it's stuck on he's stuck on himself, right? Thank you again, right? This whole show is going to be about thank you, Pete Carroll. Thank you, Pete Carroll, for your ignorance, for your not ignorance, for your arrogance, right? For your self belief in yourself. Because without that, we wouldn't have a chance to do something we have not done since 2000 and what, 8? 2008? Have the first overall pick in the NFL draft? We couldn't have done that without him. Did you say he's converting to a Bills fan? You glad your team made him leave? We have a Seattle fan in the building, man. Ask the Seattle fan. Ask my guy Grim any questions you want about Geno Smith, about Pete Carroll. Um, I said this before. I know a couple people that I used to work with in the union that are Raider fans that live in Seattle, that work in the union up there, that moved, and they were livid that we hired Pete Carroll. They were more pissed off that the Raiders brought in Geno Smith with them. And from day one, they were like, bro, what are we doing? What are we doing? Um, and I tried to, be the positive guy that I am, say, nah, bro, Pete Carroll's going to help this team, right? He's going to bring in stability. He's going to bring in leadership, right? He's going to have these guys wanting to fight for him and wanting to play for him. But little did I know that he would bring, all that, but he also would bring in the favoritism. And I don't think I know. Once people started not being held accountable that were Pete Carroll guys, but then guys like JPJ gets moved all over the offensive line, um, right? You have no quarterback competition whatsoever. The first time that anybody has taken first team reps was last week. Kenny Pickett said it. Kenny Pickett said it's going to be nice to take first team reps. It's going to be nice to throw to the number one receivers for the first time all year. According to Pete Carroll, they've been doing that all season long. Pete Carroll says, Aiden O'Connell's ready. He's taking snaps with the ones. Kenny Pickett, he's getting snaps with the ones. But according to Kenny Pickett, he ain't got no snaps with the ones. You guys need to bench all players. I mean, I'm never gonna get through this chat, but we can go for that too. They need to bench Max Crosby, bro. I don't care what Max says. We seen Micah Parsons go down with the ACL. We seen who else went down with the ACL? Oh, Patrick Mahomes. We seen Patrick Mahomes go down. That light is killing me, bro. We seen Patty Mahomes go down with an ACL injury, right? Late in a game that they were behind, that they had no chance of winning. Why the hell is Max Crosby out there yelling and screaming at Devin White, who has 16 tackles in that game? How many tackles did you have, Max Crosby? How many gap containment plays did they run on your side that were first downs? How many plays did they run on your side that were big plays? I counted 5. 5. Devin White wasn't the only one that did not have outside contain on that play. But you're yelling at that man, right? Yelling at that man in the building or, coming off the field. It doesn't make sense, bro. It doesn't make sense. But why are these guys out there playing when we need to see what Tonka Hemingway has, right? Tonka Hemingway, I don't even know what he had, but he didn't get, much playtime either. JJ Pegues, all of a sudden getting playtime. The O line is not enough to get past out and block and get sacks through under pressure. Um, can't get much worse. I mean, we could go, 0-17, and we really could be 0-17 right now, right? If we didn't get lucky at the first game of the season against the New England Patriots, this team could be, 1-14 right now. If we didn't, have a couple things go our way and kind of get lucky in Tennessee, the Tennessee Titans should have won that game, man. We had, a sack on their 1 yard line. The defense won that game. Matter of fact, a guy that everybody is dogging, Devin White, right? Devin White, another 15 tackle game. He had a sack in that game. He had 2 pass breakups, I do believe, in that game, which he can't even cover. Trixie Blue, what he do? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. I appreciate you rocking with your guy for so long. 11 games in a row. Ugh. Yeah, the Broncos, man. Look, I picked the Broncos to win the division at the beginning of the season. I also picked the Raiders to win a lot more games than they did. But, and I also feel like, this team is different. A lot of people say blow it up, right? We need to just get rid of everybody and start over again. I just feel there's so many people on this team that are not getting, the grass time that they deserve, right? You see Alex Kappa out there. Looks horrible at right guard. Looked okay at center. But for all the people that were crying, Will Putnam is trash. Get Will Putnam out of the game. Will Putnam has really, if you go back and watch the All 22, has really played just as well as Jordan Meredith, who's a veteran, as Alex Kappa, who's a seasoned veteran, right? This man has been on a practice squad for 2 years, going up against our number one defense constantly. But the problem is, our number one defense. Come on, man. Who on this defensive line has done anything, right? Jonah Lalu started out with 4 sacks, um, a bunch of pressures in every single game. His playtime has went down since then. Why? I mean, shit, you can't have somebody getting more sacks than Max Crosby, right? You got to throw him out of the game, you know, condense his playtime. Um, Thomas Booker, man, Thomas Booker has done absolutely nothing. You know, no, a couple tackles, one or two, three tackles a game. Adam Butler got a big bag thrown at him. You know, the biggest bag he's ever got in his career. Numbers went. Well, these guys want to sit and talk about there's too much talk in the building and not enough doing. Man, where are your stats at? Where's your stats at? Go Raiders. Hey mods, can I spam? You can't spam Buffalo Bills. Pete Carroll is a boo boo head. He's a fucking boo boo head. Raiders got Broncos on an 8-game winning streak. Broncos getting them back 4-win streak. And it shouldn't even be like that, man. It shouldn't even be like that, right? These, I'm so tired of people that think they know ball, but don't really know ball. You know, they get all their shit from somebody else, running people out of the building that never even had a chance, man. But we're all gun ho about bringing in a 74-year-old man. And we talked about it at the beginning, right? This could go two ways. Pete Carroll could come and help this team. You know, we can win 10, 11, 12 games. I thought it was going to be 12 games. But I also believe that Geno Smith was going to have the best season that he ever had with the weapons he had. Unfortunately, none of that worked out. Our two best linemen got hurt, and it's been ass ever since. Um, but yeah, the Broncos, we beat them 8 games in a row. They beat us 4 games in a row. They are not going to beat us next year twice. So that streak is going to end. We're going to keep it at the 8. Appreciate your POV on Sports Talk, brother. Cheech and Chong, appreciate you, my guy. Pete, time has passed. We need to move on. Pete Carroll or Jerry Jones. Um, so let me ask you this: if we move on from Pete Carroll, we get this on here before I get off. It's been about an hour. If we move on from Pete Carroll, who are your top 5 coaches? Chip Kelly is completely ruined the Eagles franchise when he was the head coach, and the team would have won multiple Super Bowls. David Lewis, another fact, right? Another fact. We know Chip Kelly. A lot of people say, destroyed the Eagles, a team that was destined, like you said, to win a couple of Super Bowls, right? They had a dominant receiver. They had one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. Where my shit at? Sorry, I'm trying to look at something. All right. Um, Chip Kelly is. Here's my thing. I said at the beginning of the season, Chip Kelly is the type of dude where he's an asshole. He's an asshole. Everybody knows he's an asshole, right? He's just he's that dude. He's a dick. You've seen from his press conferences how he thinks he's being funny, but none of it was funny, right? Talking about JPJ's head's too big. Don't make JPJ's head any bigger than it already is. I think the only person with a big head was his little short ass with a big head. But he had little jokes that were just not funny, and he just rubs people the wrong way. Now in college, you can get away with that, right? I mean, now they got NIL deals; they're making a little bit of money, but it's still college, right? You could be a dick to people. Guys are going to take a lot more than they will in the NFL. You can't come into the NFL and talk to a dude that's been in the league 7 or 8 years like he's a damn high school kid. He's going to break your jaw. It's just going to happen. So, I think a lot of people were just rubbed the wrong way by Chip Kelly, but he's a damn good mind, you know, for college football. I think, his system fits, like I said, more of those younger guys, a two-back system, right? You could recruit the best players in the building. He didn't have that in Vegas. He had a shit offensive line that was, ass last year, but went from 26th in the NFL from December to the end of the season to 13th in the NFL. So an offensive line that was on the rise, right? 26th to 13th. Come on, man. That's what, 13 spots? You gained 13 spots from December to the end of the season. And then they come in and decide this offensive line isn't going to cut it. I got to have my own stamp on it. And the only way to do that is to move our best player on the flipping line and put him at left guard and then put him at right guard. I'm surprised they didn't put JPJ, at right tackle just to see if he could work there. But Chip Kelly, I don't know why that was the option. I really don't. I don't know who in that building. Like I said, was it Mark Davis? Was it Spytech? Was it Tom Brady? Was it Mark Davis? Right? Who in that building? Who in that building decided, let's go get Chip Kelly. Let's go get Chip Kelly. I mean, there were so many names, so many offensive coordinators that have NFL experience, right? I mean, hell, Luke Steckel. Luke Steckel has been in a Vrabel system. He was Mike Vrabel's assistant head coach. If you don't know who Luke Steckel is, he's our tight ends coach, right? The best, the best position group we have pretty much on the field, the tight ends, Michael Mayer, Ian Thomas, Carter Runyon, right? Brock Bowers. All four of those dudes play pretty solid. Now, do they use them right? No, that's coaching. But Luke Steckel is a man that's been a part of offenses. He's been an offensive coordinator. He's been a passing game coordinator. He's been a tight end coach. He's been an assistant head coach. He's done every position that you need to do to be pushed up, and the Raiders are just, they just keep passing these guys by. Luke Steckel, I believe, should be the passing game coordinator and probably the run game coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders. And if he was that, I believe this team would be different, right? You have, Patrick Graham in the building. A lot of people say Patrick Graham needs to go. He's had 4 years here. He hasn't done shit. But what does he have to work with? What does he have to work with? You brought in Robert Spillane. This defense was solid last year. With all the injuries they had, they were still top 15 defense. That's pretty damn good for having 8 different players play 8 different roles on your starting defense. There's 11 guys on the starting defense. We had 3 starters out for the season. Malcolm Kuntz, Christian Wilkins, Marcus Epps, all were out for the season. What's Pete Carroll's excuse? This defense has gotten worse since he got here. He's a defensive coach. He's a defensive backs coach. Our backfield is the worst. We give up more passing yards than anybody in the NFL. There's no reason that you could possibly look at what Pete Carroll has done this year and say, let's try it again. Let's try it again. They favored Alex Kappa. I mean, I think that's a Spytech thing, right? I think that's a Tom Brady and Spytech thing. Bring in Alex Kappa. He played at Tampa Bay, right? He was Tom Brady's offensive lineman when they won a Super Bowl. That's not Pete Carroll. That's not Pete Carroll. I think that's coming from above. But I do think the Charles Grant thing is definitely Pete Carroll. I do think Caleb Rogers is definitely Pete Carroll. I think moving the JPJ thing was a Pete Carroll thing, a Brandon Carroll thing. I don't think it was a Chip Kelly thing. The NFL is woke now. What do you think of the predictions for the next game? Jimmy, we take to get the game to the first pick. Um, we're playing the Houston Texans, so playing a top five defense in the NFL. We just got murked by a defense that is ranked 26th in the NFL, 15th total, 26th in run, um, 15th in the pass, ranked 16th total in the NFL, and they just dog walked us like we were a junior high school team. So it's not going to be any better against the Texans. More than likely, it'll be Geno Smith. More than likely, will be back as the quarterback. Barring a miracle or an injury. We've already heard Pete Carroll say if he's ready to go, he will be the guy. So, you know, I don't see. I think the only game we have to worry about, and we'll get to that before I get off. I feel like the Raiders Mendoza are more should still be a gamble on the back. Up taking Sawyer or Hoover. You know, I'm gonna stay out of the quarterback one this time because I still believe the quarterback that the Raiders need is in the building. I believe he's already in the building. He's been in the building. And I know people don't agree. But when you constantly, sorry, I had to get a drink. When you constantly look at these stats, man, God, the sun is killing me, bro. When you constantly look at these stats, right? I seen a thing on X. Yeah, that's way better. Good Lord. So I seen a thing on X that said, um, Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck, right? Drafted in the second round. They're all up in arms because he's won 3 games. 3 games as a starter in the NFL so far this year. Huh. Cam Miller has won 2 games. Shador Sanders has won 1 game, maybe 2. Last year, the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. What'd they win? 3 games, 4 games last year with him. Who else? Okay, JD5 didn't count. They won a bunch of games with him. JJ McCarthy, right? JJ McCarthy got hurt, didn't get to play a lot, so they didn't win a lot of games. Drake May. Drake May came in and played the last 8 games of the season? One or two? One or two? These are all first round picks. I just mentioned 7 guys that were first round picks that only won 2 or 3 games in their first season. Aiden O'Connell, 5 wins. 5. Not with the head coach that drafted him. No. The head coach that drafted him got fired. With an interim head coach, Aiden O'Connell still won 5 games as a rookie. Not drafted in the first, the second, the third, a 4th round pick. 4th round quarterback. Comes in and wins 5 games as a rookie, but it wasn't good enough for the nation. It wasn't good enough for the fans, right? He didn't have enough bling. He wasn't cool enough. He didn't have enough arrogance, right? He can't run. He's a statue. The dude won 5 games as a rookie, drafted in the 4th round. And you wonder why we're in the position we're in. Tyler Shuck, winning 3 games. It's all over X. Oh my God. He's won more games than the last 8 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. But, and come on. He's got Olave. He's got one of the best running backs in the league, man. Like, you got weapons galore over there. You got I don't know how many first round picks on your offensive line. How many first round picks do the Raiders have on their offensive line? Colton Miller. How many first round picks do the Raiders have at safety? Zero. How many first round picks do the Raiders have at corner? One. Somebody else's first round pick, Eric Stokes. How many first round picks do the Raiders have at linebacker? Zero. How many first round picks do the Raiders have on the defensive line? Tyree Wilson. How many first round picks do the Raiders have at receiver? Tight end? One. Running back? One. Quarterback? Zero. And we wonder why this team is 2-12. Most of it is the coaching. A lot of it is the part of the coaching, the people that the coach brought in the building to help coach, right? But a lot of it is bad drafting. First round talent, Tyree Wilson, done nothing. First round talent, Alex Leatherwood, did nothing. First round talent, Damon Arnett, nothing. First round talent, I'm on and on and on. Josh Jacobs not here no more. Like the first round people that we have drafted in the last 10 years are not even in the building. Look at every team in the NFL. They got at least 5 or 6 first round picks that are still on their team. The Raiders, we move on from them in 2 years, like we do coaches. Every 2 years. Time to get a new one. It's like we lease coaches. The Raiders lease coaches. They don't buy coaches, they lease them. We're going to sign a 15-year, $1 million contract for 1 season. We're going to lease you. And if you do okay, then we'll give you a couple more games next year. What do you think the score will be? Another 31-0? It very well could be. I don't see the Raiders. I don't see Geno Smith scoring against the Texans. I don't see, Kenny Pickett. I'll get to Kenny Pickett in a minute, man. Kenny Pickett don't have a chance. And it's not because he's not good. Next week got softer 24-3. Might be a good thing. My son was a Raider in 2012. Nice, love my kids. What's his name? Gino, ugly man. Sorry about the Raiders. Yeah, it's man. It's even funnier when people that hate the Raiders, right? Because there is a planet full of people that cannot stand the Raiders. They feel sorry for us. They feel sorry for us. Oh man, Tua's a sorry ass bum. That's not right. That's not right. Um, just because BS season better cause for a younger head coach. Younger head coach. I think Pete Carroll can get it going next season. He's done. Um, I don't think Pete Carroll gets next season, bro. I don't think Pete Carroll gets to next season. I just don't know in what world anybody can possibly say Pete Carroll deserves to come back. I mean, Devin White is on the field 100% of the snaps like Max Crosby, bro. At 28 years old, that can't cover a wet paper bag with a blanket. Like this dude is bad. We are Raider fans in New England. Christopher, what's good, man? Appreciate you from New England. Thank you for popping in all the way across the world, man. Sorry this team is, what it is. We'll get better. We'll get better. Well, let's talk about some things here. I got some names that I want to throw out, so I can help all the other content creators, look great when they get their shit out. But no, real talk. The Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, I don't want nobody from the Bengals.
Josh McCown. Josh McCown has been talked about a lot, right? Look what he did with Sam Darnold. Look what he's done, with a young kid that only has maybe 8 practices, 8 practices as a Minnesota Viking, and JJ McCarthy, a guy that I was very, very high on coming out of the draft because of his young inexperience, and his upside is just through the roof. He throws the ball harder than anybody in the NFL, maybe even ever. Like I think Brett Favre was another one that was up there, but his RAS numbers were off the charts. You know, speed wise, throwing distance, all that shit. So JJ McCarthy is going to be one of them ones. But Josh McCown has done a damn good job. And, it's probably time for Josh McCown to not be a quarterback coach and probably become an offensive coordinator, move up in the rankings. A lot of people are thinking, it's that time. Another name that a lot of people probably aren't talking about, right? What definitely should be talked about a lot more. We talk about the Mike LaFleur. We talk about the Chris Shula, right? We're talking about all these guys that come, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them from the Sean McVay tree. If the Las Vegas Raiders move on from Pete Carroll and they do not pluck from the Sean McVay tree, it is a fail. It is a fail. It is a fail. There are so many offense and defensive coordinators out there from the Sean McVay tree that are also from the Shanahan tree. Two of the best football trees in all of football. And if you don't pick from those, what are we doing as a franchise? What are we doing? We're just constantly giving money to guys to coach 1 year and then go sit in the fucking Bahamas. Excuse my language. Go sit in the Bahamas and drink girly drinks. Because that soft ass can't shoot whiskey. And blow all the money that Mark Davis is filling their books with. Danny Yankee says it didn't help that we get hit with the backfield 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I get that, but that's not on every play. It doesn't help that every time you touch the ball as a running back, your first move is a jump cut. You're running at a shotgun. For one, you're already almost 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So you got, 6, 7, 8 yards before you even get to the line of scrimmage. And your first move is a jump cut. You're giving defenses time to get to you, right? Your first move for Ashton Jeanty at 5'8" should be hit the hole as low as possible. Instead, I see the man standing up like he does in the backfield. He doesn't run with the low center of gravity that he was in college. Like, he's way too high. And at 5'8", bro, you should be able to get low like a bowling ball. You should be able to get underneath these linemen and pick up yardage. But instead, his first instinct is jump cut. And maybe it's because, they're running a gap scheme. Maybe because they're running a wide zone scheme. Maybe they're, they want him to slow down and take time. But he's not fast enough, I feel, to take your time, right? We all know, we don't all know, but most people know, if you ever played a running back position or played on the offensive line or quarterback, right? They constantly teach, slow through the hole, slow to the hole, fast through the hole, right? You want to take your time, get the ball, see the field, wait for the play to develop, right? Wait for lanes to open up, and then you want to smash through the hole. Ashton Jeanty is the opposite, man. It's the opposite. You're jump cutting, and then you got to get your feet started from a jump cut, and by then the play's done and it's over. So, yes, he gets hit in the backfield a lot, but a lot of it is his fault. A lot of it is hesitation, not knowing where you're gonna go, man. Look, as a running back, and I played running back in high school, just in high school, right? No pros, no college. Tore my knee, shit was done, never got another chance. But when I was playing, when you know the play, right? And if you study the defenses and you know a linebacker is blitzing through the hole you're supposed to go to because he's creeping up, your first instinct as a running back is, I don't care what the coach says. I don't care what the blocking is. I'm trying to make a play, right? Trying to make a play. So get the ball, blast through the hole. If you know he's coming through there, then At least take 2 or 3 steps towards the hole and then make your jump cut to bounce outside or bend it inside, right? But I haven't seen that from Ashton Genty. I've seen open field where there's 2 guys with 2 blockers, and you go the direction of the blockers of the 2 guys that are trying to tackle you instead of kicking it outside. When guy has inside leverage, so he's gonna be a damn good back. But you gotta have patience, man. You gotta have patience, and you gotta have vision. I wish Raiders never signed my son. Worst position coach ever, Gilmore. What? 2.5 yards per carry. Ooh. Yeah, that's bad, man. That's bad. So a guy that not a lot of people are talking about, right? Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers. Marcus Brady. Some of y'all might know Marcus Brady. He was previously the OC for the Colts. Known for his work with Justin Herbert, is considered a prime candidate, to run the offense very, very soon. Comes from a Jim Harbaugh, right? Got a little bit of time with Jim Harbaugh. Had a little bit of time with who was it? Steichen, that was the coach for the Colts. I don't know who the hell was the Colts coach for the Colts, right? Brian Johnson. The Washington Commanders offensive passing coordinator. He was the Eagles OC and excellent quarterback developer. He has been developing players like Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels. Teams will look to hire teams will look to hire him to stabilize their quarterback room, right? And if the Raiders are trying to draft a quarterback, Pete Carroll's not it. I'm sorry, but Greg Olsen is not it. I'm sorry, but Nate flipping Carroll is not it, right? So if you're going to draft a quarterback, Mendoza, you're setting this dude up to fail. If you have Pete Carroll, Nathan Carroll, Greg Olsen developing your quarterback, we're already screwed. So why draft a quarterback and set us up for failure when we don't have guys to develop them, right? Kevin Patullo. He was the Eagles' assistant head coach. He was an offensive assistant experience working under Nick Sirianni and is credited with Jalen Hurts in the development. He's been an OC candidate in the last couple cycles, right? A guy that's been, to a Super Bowl with Sirianni, right? A guy that's been in the Eagles organization, that's, been through a lot of the organization. And again, these are a lot of names that people aren't talking about. Keenan McCardell. Keenan McCardell is the Minnesota Vikings wide receiver coach. He is a former star wide receiver whose success in developing young receivers and a strong coaching repertoire that makes him an attractive play caller. So, a receiver in the NFL, receivers coach, is a guy that you could bring in as an OC. And we're going to get some head coaches and some OC pairings, and then we'll get off here real quick. Just a couple names that I want to throw out, to give guys something to talk about. Scott Peters. Probably a lot of people don't know who Scott Peters is. He is the offensive line coach for the New York Giants. With guys like Van Rotten, with guys like Jermaine Illuminor, right? Outcast from the Las Vegas Raiders, which I thought Van Rotten should have never, ever been let go. But who am I? I'm just a 50-year fan that, needs a job in the NFL. But another guy that is completely overlooked. The NFL is increasingly looking for run game emphasis, right? If the Giants' run game performs well, Peters could be landed as a top teacher of the modern run concepts. So Scott Peters is a guy that when you have a guy like Ashton Genty, you want to bring this guy in to help develop a modern run scheme and a modern blocking scheme, right? Not only is he just a run guy, but he's an offensive guy, offensive line guy. He has experience coaching offensive lines. He is a young, talented offensive mind that that could be the next Tom Gable. I mean, we don't know. We don't know, right? Until we take a chance. But going with these old ass guys, going with the coach's son, it's not cutting it. It's not cutting it. TJ McCrate is offensive special quality control. Has an extensive background working with personnel and developing schemes for offensive players, offensive coordinators from the Jaguars, director of player personnel, among other roles. So, not a coach, right? Just a guy that has been around the NFL, helping guys develop run schemes, passing schemes. Todd McCrate, TJ McCrate, remember that name because the man is going to get a job. I guarantee you pretty soon. If we want to look at offensive minds, right? Missouri Tigers, Kirby Smart is a guy that, or Kirby Moore is a guy that you could, possibly look at. His offense has been exceptionally productive with Missouri. They were in the top 25 all year. They've had, two quarterbacks. One came out last year in the NFL. One's probably going to be drafted this year. He has connections in the NFL through his brother, Cowboys OC. That's right. Kellen Moore. So, remember the name Kirby Moore, a guy that's probably not going to be in college too long. Looking at what Kellen Moore has done, the apple usually don't fall far from the tree, which is why you got to stay tuned for my last head coach, and most of y'all that been here already know. Ben Arbuckle, Washington State OC. Young, innovative offensive mind that has shown the ability to develop quarterbacks and run high-flying offenses. The NFL wants young energy, right? And I know people are looking at Chip Kelly and saying, not another college coach. But do you really think any of these coaches in the NFL started in the NFL? Do you think none of these guys were high school offensive coordinators, special team guys, personnel managers, equipment managers, right? All these guys started somewhere. So for the people that say, no offensive line, no offensive coaches, no defensive coaches from college, bro, that's how the NFL has evolved over the years, is bringing in young, innovative, motivative minds, right, to develop new schemes, new defensive schemes. That's how, schemes like Tampa 2, cover 4, right? All the different looks we have at a cover 3. That's how all this shit was developed. Young guys taking stuff to the next limit. The next guy is Will Stein, man. Will Stein, Oregon Ducks offensive coordinator. One of the most aggressive and successful young play callers in college football. He's one of the hottest names for an NFL OC role due to his scheme and versatility. Now, why are we talking about offensive coordinators? Because we need a new head coach. And that head coach is going to need a new offensive coordinator. So not always do you go with the guy who's always been an offensive coordinator. Sometimes you take guys that are passing game coordinators. Sometimes you take guys that are run game coordinators. Hopefully not Carroll passing game and run game coordinators. But you get what I'm saying, right? Alex Golish, another name that you could watch coming into the NFL. He is the coach of the UFC Bulls in Florida, former Tennessee coach, up-tempo, pro-heavy offense, wildly successful in Tennessee, and he has the history of the NFL interviews that could be tempted by a play-calling role. So, if you bring in a new coach and you're like, man, I'm tired of these guys, There's nothing that excites me about any of these guys in the NFL right now. Just some names to look at. Seth Luttrell, Oklahoma Sooners offense assistant analyst. Another guy to look at. Jake Peavy, man, how many of y'all remember Jake Peavy? College quarterback coach. An under the radar coach who has been credited with the development of multiple successful college quarterbacks that have entered the NFL, and is being discussed in scouting circles. So I don't know, scouting circles. But I want to throw. I guess I'll read these damn comments to see how far we are. Ashton Young won't be able to run through the holes if the defense and the quarterback are trash. You can't spoken passing game. I mean, I get it. You got to have a passing game. You got to have a run game and an offensive line that can block. If the defense is not threatened by you throwing the ball down the field, they're gonna stop the run, right? They're gonna put all their people in the box. They're gonna cover, run a cover 2, which is man to man, and they're gonna go that route, right? Run cover 0, cover 2. Play 1-on-1 and just eat up the box, right? Don't stop the run. If you have no run game and they're not scared of your passing game, teams are just going to stack the box. They're going to blitz 5. They're going to blitz 6, right? They're going to cover 1-on-1. And they're going to ask your quarterback to beat him with his arm and his intelligence. We don't have quarterbacks that can do that when you don't have an offensive line to block. So, first draft year should be one of the tackles from Utah. We need a bookend. We need a bookend, right? But definitely on the right side, DJ Glaze. I like DJ Glaze. For me, he's just not cutting it. Just hasn't shown enough. He gets beat way too much. The footwork is nasty. If you look at DJ Glaze's footwork and you look at Charles Grant is light years ahead of DJ Glaze. And he's going to be way better. He should already been out there the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. For the people that say Charles Grant is not ready, you do not know ball. If you could look at this man's footwork, if you could look at his violent hands, if you could look at the way he wrenches people up and has them off their feet and is just driving people backwards, and a couple plays that he's out there, you could tell me that this man is just way far off of being ready, then man, I just don't even want to talk to people like that. It's like talking to a brick wall. He's got no common sense, bro. None. We do need offensive tackles. And, the guy from Utah, Fano, is a dog. But I really like Francis Mago. I don't know how you say dude's name. I'm not very good at those. But let me ask you this. Do we really need an offensive line? Is it wasting a pick if we go offensive line in this draft? Because, hear me out. We have JPJ. If we put him back at center, we have Caleb Rogers at guard. We still have Jordan Meredith, Dylan Parham, Alex Kappa. It hurt to say that. Right? Charles Grant. We have guys that we could possibly put at the right guard position and let him battle for that. Or we could draft a right guard or bring one in free agency. And then you have Colton Miller who's coming back. So if you have an offensive line that has Colton Miller, a rookie, first round or second round pick at guard, or, one of the top drafts, one of the top free agents, and you have JPJ and Caleb Rogers, and then you go get, whether it's, again, in this draft, another top right tackle, I think this offensive line is solid. That moves DJ Glaze to a backup role, right? You let him play guard a little bit. That way, if a guard goes down, he has the experience playing guard. If a tackle goes down, it's not the greatest, but he can come in and hopefully, sitting on the bench and losing his job, maybe it'll make him a better man. Maybe it'll make him work harder on his footwork, on his hand technique, because DJ Glades is slow as hell, man. He just ain't cutting it. But do we really need to draft the offensive lineman? I mean, we don't know what we have in Charles Grant. We don't know what we have except for one full game of Caleb Rogers, right? We don't know. There's a couple more, right? Antonio Mafi looked very, very good for the little bit of time that he's had with a bad offensive line coach, right? If we bring in a top tier offensive line coach, I think this offensive line is usable, man. I think, yeah, they need development, but I think there's a lot of people in this building. You have Lackey Tassie, right? Lackey Tassie is 6'8", 340 pounds. If you can develop that man into a guard or a center, I mean, damn, right? He's played rugby. In rugby, what do? You read down, you kind of hike the ball, right? Pick it up, and then I don't know how to play rugby. But what I'm saying is, if you can move a guy from like Lackey Tassie this offseason and have him ready and developed, which, I mean, not with the coach that we have right now, but this offseason, there are some servable guys on this offensive line that I think could be studs in the NFL. I mean, Lackey Tassie, for his size and his explosiveness, his strength, I think would be a huge problem in the NFL, right? So, do we really need to go get an offensive lineman and not see what we have in the three that we have drafted, the four that we've drafted in the last 2 years? Four linemen in the last 2 years, two or three of them got to fit somewhere, right? I mean, they're all second and third round picks. Quarterback wise, right? Quarterback wise, I know people aren't going to want to hear this, but you have a Cam Miller that's went against the first team defense all year long. That's got to be development. He's got to get better. He looked okay in the preseason. Do you really go draft a quarterback in the first round and then take a chance of him coming in and Cam Miller being way ahead of that guy right off the rip? Because Cam Miller's not a bad quarterback. He is very intelligent. All he's done is win his whole entire college career. So if you take a guy like Cam Miller, who's been developing the right way, probably not from the right people, but has been developing on a practice squad, facing Max Crosby, facing, Jonah Laulu, facing Tyree Wilson, right? Thomas Booker, Adam Butler. You're going against this, top front line, and probably the corners you're facing, DeCamarion Richardson, not the best. Tristan McCollum, right? Not the best. But when you're facing the first team, you're getting valuable reps. So I think Pete Carroll. Thank you, Pete Carroll, for failing us and not letting us see what we have on our roster. So we go into a season like we did last year. I bitched about this last year. Why isn't Amari Gaynor getting playtime? Why isn't Aiden O'Connell playing? Why isn't JPJ out there constantly, right? Why aren't these guys that we drafted getting playtime? Why wasn't Tommy Eichenberg out there? We went into the season blind and had no idea what we had in anybody we drafted. Well, 2 years later, we're doing the same thing. Another shitty year where we're 2-10 when you had every opportunity to play everybody on that roster. Everybody on the roster should have got at least 20 snaps a game. When you're 2-12, how many people on our practice squad never have been called up? Dalton Wagner, right? How many people that have been on our practice squad for 3 years developing are not getting any chances because of Pete Carroll and his philosophy and his mindset? Sign a kicker #1, draft another Janikowski. I wanted Nicky Memori in the second round too. I wanted Nicky Memori in the first. In the first. He was drafted 24, I believe. A team moved up to get him. Seattle. I think Seattle moved up in the draft to get him. The Raiders could have easily, with a second round pick, 3 third round picks, and 2 fourths, we could have moved up and got a Nicky Memori after we got Ashton Genty. We could have traded back and got a Nicky Memori. We could have got Jahad Campbell, right? The linebacker that the Eagles moved one spot to go get. A guy that's played his ass off and has been, PFF grade in the 80s all year long. Could have moved up and got that dude. Ask Darian Sparola. He's not the right height. 40 years experience and still 211 is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's even more ridiculous that they let it go on for a whole season, right? It looks bad for this organization to have a coach that is senile, that is, 5 days away from a retirement home, and somebody wiping his ass because he can't do it himself. 74-year-old head coach like that you let him bring in two of his kids and just let them finish out the year because why? They need valuable experience. Bro, those kids ain't never coaching again in the NFL. Come on, man. Ask LaDainian Tomlinson. It's not his height. I'm, who said anything about his height? I'm saying when you're small, you should be able to get through these offensive lines. Blame Tom Brady. We can blame Tom Brady. He deserves a lot of it, right? He didn't want Sam Darnold. He tried to get Matthew Stafford. It didn't work, and you flipped it to Geno Smith. Like, we can blame a lot of people. Can you tell a story of why your dad's gay? Sorry, Newton Strom. I don't know your father. I don't know why he's gay, but that's his personal thing. Strong side, left side. Thank you. We blaming Tom Brady. It's a lot of it's his fault too. Raiders are the minor league team, best embarrassment to the NFL. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But I got a Max Crosby signed jersey not long ago. I need a frame for it though. Man, yeah, you need to frame that up. You need to frame that up. Speaking of Max Crosby, has anybody ever seen a player offer free jersey giveaways just so you'll share his shit to get him in a Pro Bowl? Pathetic, bro. Pathetic. I think they're inside football joke when you know the Raiders. Just go for a paycheck and performance sometimes. Players are being themselves to lose. And yeah, we get it, Mike Hawks. Raiders should have gotten Shador. Come on, man. Come on, man. The Raiders shouldn't have got Shador. Robert Penna in the building. Shador is ass cheeks, bro. Did you see his numbers last week? Do we have to put Shador's numbers? Let me do this. Let me do this. Just ask AI. You don't have to take my advice. You don't have to do no research, no homework. Just Google the first 4 games for Aiden O'Connell and the first 4 games for Shador Sanders. And then tell me that we need Shador. Raiders got beaten by the Dolphins. We didn't even play the Dolphins, bro. What you talking about? Genty a bust. He's trending towards that way. Definitely. My brother from another. Raiders are almost ready to make a run. That's funny shit. To run where? To run away from the team? To run out of the building? Shit, they can't even run to tackle. This team ain't making no kind of run. Raiders only need one piece to create a dynasty. Bro. I don't know what that one piece is. When did the season get ugly to begin with? The season got ugly before it started, to be honest. It got ugly before it started. You had JPJ said, "Hi, Ashton Genty. I'm your center. Nice to meet you." Nah, you're the guard. Nah, you're the guard. We had Christian Wilkins with a foot fetish, trying to tickle people's feet, rub people the wrong way, cut people's ball sacks, whatever he was doing, right? Kicked off the team. It's been all downhill since then. It's been all downhill since then. It's my cousin's birthday today, and he watches your live all the time. Can you give him a shout out? He's a big Raiders fan. His name is, yeah. You're so funny. Furpo Raiders in the building. Tyler in the building. What's good? What's good? What's good? Oh my God, what I miss? Unleashed Raiders. Shout out for the $10 clapper. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. God, there's another one. Damn. Shout out for the $1.99. Appreciate you. Raiders are something. Rebel, I'm at work. Happy holidays to you and your family. Roash, what's good, my guy? Appreciate you. It's been a minute. Good to see you in their lives if you're still here. You can get it on the website. You can get it on the website. Go check it out. CandyAngels.com. Alex, my guy, what's good? Lawrence, what's good? Stop with the Cam Miller talk. Anyone could look good against our defense. Yeah, but I mean, he looked okay in the preseason, right? It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. And I'm not saying he's ready to start this year at all. But I'm saying if he shows, improvement, if he comes in the preseason, next year and has a damn good year, at least some guys getting some reps now. Yeah, but they're not getting reps because of their play. They're not getting reps because they deserve it. They're getting reps because the guys in front of them got injured, and Pete Carroll has no other choice but to play the guys that are there. Gainer never got a fair chance. Nah, bro. Nah, he got cut. He got cut as soon as he got there, just like Jack Jones. I mean, look, Jack Jones is playing not the greatest, but he's definitely better than what Kai Blue Kelly has been. Jack Jones was cut instantly. They walked in the building and said, "You're done. You're done." That dude didn't even get a El Capitan. What's good, my guy? That dude didn't even get a snap. He got what? He got two, 3 practices, and they were like, "Nah, you're gone." Yeah, I know. I'm way behind on the chat. I can't help. All goes back to head coach failing. Sweet, I'm caught up. Damn, it sounds windy as it is windy as hell. Y'all want to see how windy it is? Let's go out here for a minute. Let's go see if you can hear me in a windstorm. Oh yeah, it's pretty windy. It's pretty windy. It's really windy. Good Lord. Y'all blowing over. What the hell's going on out here? Close the damn door, it's so windy. Oh man. No. Does it hurt? What, listening to your dumb ass? Yeah, it hurts. It hurts bad. Alright, so I'm gonna give you what I think should be the Raiders coaching staff next year. And guys, they need a serious look at Chris Shula, right? Chris Shula, head coach. Comes from the McVay tree, right? But you need to bring in a guy named Thomas Brown. If you don't know who Thomas Brown is, he was the former OC for the Carolina Panthers in 2023. He was also the OC and the interim head coach for the Chicago Bears when Eberflus got fired. He is now the passing game coordinator for the best team in football, the New England Patriots. He is a Sean McVay descendant, right? He is a Sean McVay tree. If you take those two Sean McVay guys, Chris Shula, Thomas Brown, and you pair them together, this team turns around overnight. I guarantee you, with the draft, with the discipline, with the knowledge and the experience that this man has. Thomas Brown has been raved about by Mike Vrabel. He has been raved about by everybody in the Patriots building. And I know you're saying he's a Patriot. No, he's not a Patriot. This is 1 year. 1 year. But look what he's done with Drake May from last year to this year. All the credit has been given to Josh McDaniels. But it's not all Josh McDaniels. It has been Thomas Brown. He has helped the run game. He has helped the offensive line. He has helped the receivers in that building, from what I'm hearing from a lot of people. So, if you get Chris Shula, again, Sean McVay tree. If you bring in Chris Shula, if you bring in Thomas Brown, those are two coaches, offense and defense, from a Sean McVay tree that turns this Las Vegas Raiders franchise around in a year. I guarantee you, in a year, this team will be better. They will play better. They will have better. They will have better energy. They will play harder for a guy like Chris Shula. The Raiders need to develop some kind of continuity. And I know firing head coach after firing head coach after firing head coach does not work. But what doesn't work is bringing in a 74-year-old man, again, that is very close to not being able to wipe his own ass, to run a football team. That is malpractice. It is how franchise fall off the face of the earth and they get traded to another state and they change their name. And the Raiders are very close to that. So I appreciate everybody in the building. I got one more name. And of course, I've talked about it until everybody else is starting to catch on. The biggest name is Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur. Offensive-minded, offensive coordinator. You pair him with the top defensive coordinator. We'll get to that later on the next show. But this is how the Raiders need to go. You need to bring in a coach 5 years. You need to give him 5 years. You need to give him full control. Full control. The GM's job is to help the head coach develop players and to get the coach the players he needs. So if the Raiders can figure that out, man, I think next year with the first round pick that they trade back and do not draft a quarterback is the way to go. Stay blessed. Much love. Raiders. Peace. Thank you everybody for watching. See y'all maybe later tonight. Who knows?